I'll read everybody, but hey guys.
Folks, we're just going to, we're going to head up to the Station Road extension and then have a look at the land there, give you a bit of the feedback about what's going on and why we're here. So let's go.
Anything else?
Good.
We're taking lower.
Okay. Hello. Thanks for coming on a Sunday morning. Really appreciate you coming out. We thought it would be, given that we've got the council consultative meeting on Tuesday night at the Workers Club, which I know everybody's going to be at, we thought it would be really useful to actually come out and have a look at some of what's in question. Currently, Council's reviewing the local environment plan, and as part of that, lands that are currently zoned 7D are up for rezoning. Now, that's partly because some of the 7D landholders have been very good at lobbying council over a very long period of time about getting that zoning changed so that they would have the right to put a house on their land. All this land through here is 7D. There are 11 housing lots in here, and this is all proposed to be changed to E4, which is environmental living, which is what the rest of Otford Village is. In addition to that, there are 29 existing homes that are also zoned currently 7D, which has the highest level of environmental protection, who will be rezoned to E4 again so that their environmental protection will be lowered. So all up, there's the 11 lots here, the 29 existing homes and another 2 lots, which would increase the village of Otford by 29, 39, 40, 42 homes.
Doubles the area.
Which doubles the area, because Otford currently has 94 homes in the village of Otford. There are other places outside the designated village that are still 7D and that will be E2 or E3. But today we're particularly concerned about these 7D lands that will be becoming part of the village. So they will have the right to build on these slopes. Now, for those of you that know Lloyd Place, it's very similar topography to this, and there will be no rezoning of the 7D lands there. They will remain with the same level of environmental protection. So what we don't understand is why, and the bushfire report that was done said that was part of the reason, is because of the bushfire report, that land should remain as it is. It's not safe to build houses on. So we want to know why this land is. It's almost identical in its topography and in its bush coverage, and it doesn't make any sense that can't be rezoned but this can, and there's a fairly good reason. The people that have been lobbying hard have been effective. So it's now time for us, and I think we're a silent majority, and we really need to make our voices heard. We've been pretty quiet for too long, and we've been learning that the 7D landholders that want to change have been incredibly active. The very minute the council was sacked, they were in with appointments with the administrators. They've been really vocal about what their concerns are. It's now time for us to be very vocal about what our concerns are. Many of us moved here because we wanted to live in an area that was so well protected. Many of us bought homes here, and we bought on land that had existing homes or wasn't zoned environmental protection, and we paid the appropriate price. Many of the landholders bought cheap blocks of land, some of them quite some time ago when they were very cheap, and they are looking to make a return on their investment. And that's what it is. It's an investment, and they were never ever told that they would be allowed to build on this land. But through continuous lobbying, they've managed to generate some degree of sympathy to their position in council. And we've been too quiet for too long. So we now need to make a noise. So first thing is we need everybody to be at the meeting on Tuesday night at Council from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. If you have interest or concerns about your own piece of land, then you can speak to Council officers from 4 to 6 about your own bit of land and what's proposed for that. But the general meeting, which is Council's consultative process, from 7. We have to be there. The 7D landholders will be there, and they're very vocal. And we need to be equally as vocal and in large numbers. Then subsequent to that, we have until the 9th of October to put our submissions into Council about our concerns about the review of the local environment plan. Now, some people, including the Otford Protection Society, have put a lot of work into looking at that plan and understanding what it means. And we are very happy to talk to anybody about your particular block, what it means for you, and how what you could put in your submission to Council. So Chris, Ian, myself, there's probably others, would be very happy to assist. Chris has been going through and writing up the Otford Protection Society submission, and we're happy to send you the bits of that have been done so far for you to look at and for you to write your own submission from. Now, we could write a form letter, but it's far better if everybody writes their own submission. That carries a lot more weight, and they don't have to be lengthy tomes. Council doesn't want 5 or 6 pages. A page and a half is all you need. And basically our main point is that we want the existing 7D protection to be maintained in the new plan. Any questions?
So you're talking about here, we're talking about here now.
Yep.
What about the other side of the river?
That's proposed to go to E2, which it does not allow. But this is proposed to go to E4, which does allow. Well, this is the only one that concerns Otford at the moment.
Yeah.
There are big concerns. In Helensburgh, there's 350 houses proposed up on the top of Otford Road to Helensburgh. So there's wider stories up in Helensburgh for Otford on its own. These 13 blocks and the 29, most of them are 2 hectares, that's 10,000 square metres, 5,000 square metres. So 5,000 square metres when the minimum lot size in Otford is 1,000, means they'll be looking to subdivide this in future time.
That's what happens when there's a fire.
How many
exits are
You read my mind.
Hello, Kerry.
The top of Gomville Road, so where those 2 blocks are on Lady Wakehurst, so Paycott's land, so just one of those.
No, it will stretch up to the top of the hill, to the house you can see on top of the hill, and it will come down to the house here at the end of this road. No, there's a plan there, go and have a look.
So it does include those 2 blocks?
It does.
But opposite Gomville, so between Beaumont and Gomville,
Beaumont and the top of the hill.
Yes.
So those 4 houses north of Beaumont Road, they'll be included in E4. And they're all 5,000 square metres, and there could be time when they can, well, some of those are 5,000 square metres.
Is this a council road?
Yeah.
so it's probably a fire trail. It's a fire trail.
It's got the same station road as far as the law, isn't it?
Yeah, it might not be appropriate. There's another question up here.
Might not be appropriate. So all these things will be on environmental systems because apparently Chris said at the meeting there's only 4, the sewage system can only take 4 more people. And so if that's so, are they thinking of changing that whole sewage system?
The question is, what's the situation with the sewer? At the time that Otford was sewered, Sydney Water said to one Otford resident who specifically asked that there was room for 4 more houses in Otford to be put onto the sewer. Council implied at the meeting last Tuesday night that they're negotiating with Sydney Water and that they may put in an extra line, or I think you'll find that Council would just get Sydney Water to upgrade the system to incorporate the new houses.
So does that mean that system will be a much larger system?
Look, it's all hypothetical. They're good questions to put into your submission. What were you trying to say?
Oh, that's loaded with concrete, Stanwell, Otford, and that proportion of the total load of what they're going to add, that wouldn't be significantly below the pumping station, so I don't think we can use that as an argument.
I think they talked about a 10% increase. When they built this system, there was something like a 10% increase built into it. So 10% over all these communities, what they're looking at. If you looked at a 10% increase in Otford, I would assume it was looking at something like 4 to 10 houses. That would be 10% on Otford, and we've already had 4 or 5 yourself.
If this is a bushfire trail, Well, what about bushfires? You're looking at the perfect terrain for raging bushfires. Bushfires burn up hills, they don't burn down hills. Yeah, and look at California.
I saw a fire back in the late 80s burn from the station up to the houses, up to the top of the hill in about 5 minutes.
Yep.
I don't know if anyone remembers that. It's when we had the fires in the park and bushfire brigades had pulled back to Otford Lookout and somebody decided to light a fire on top of the station and the whole hill went in a matter of 5-10 minutes.
Well, you only got to look at the weather now, the wind today, they've been doing burn-offs, I don't know about today, but I mean, one just looks at this and says, how the hell can they say seriously that this is land to live on, and particularly with a fire trail, which is hypocritical to what they want to do.
So it's that point is a very good point to make in submissions, because as Ian just said, this is a westerly facing slope. Lloyd Place isn't, and Lloyd Place was considered to be a too high a fire danger risk, but this is not. I mean, it's very questionable putting houses in through here, just from a bush, and particularly given the Victorian Royal Commission and the findings that have come out of that.
Keep mentioning that. Put that in your submissions.
Well, if it all went through and they built the houses, I take it then they would insist that they put some sort of metal fences because of the fire?
Oh, there'd have to be buffer zones, so you'd lose a huge number of trees.
And they put the fences in, then the wildlife can't move.
The whole,
That's right.
But what happens if there is a fire? How do you get out? I mean, you just need one tree down this way, a trapper block that way, and didn't they have trouble with Engadine last week? It took me an hour and a half to get from Engadine to the Bundina turn-off because there was a blockage yesterday.
The other thing that was just said is that there's the danger of access being cut off with trees falling in a bushfire, but the other point that was made is that as soon as you build houses, people put fences in, that instantly becomes a barrier for wildlife, and the National Parks has identified Helensburgh and Otford as very significant wildlife corridors from the National Park through to the escarpment. And the more houses we put in, the more domestic animals we introduce, the more difficult it is to maintain the integrity of that corridor. So there's all sorts of information that we can put up to council. We've got an extremely good argument to put up as to why this shouldn't change. This was Zone 7D in the early 80s. Our understanding of environmental protection then was just growing. You know, the environmental movement was in its adolescence. It wasn't in its infancy. It was in its adolescence. We are now mature in our understanding of environmental issues. Why are we winding back environmental protections with the knowledge that we have now? We should be winding them up. And they're the sorts of things we should be saying to council. So in addition to submissions to council, those of you that are so inclined, and I would really encourage, I know everyone's busy, but we are facing a very substantial change to our lifestyle. I would be encouraging everybody to ring Sharon Bird's office. I know she's a federal member, but any inquiries she makes to the state government on our behalf, they must come back to her with, and then she can feed back to us. So I would encourage you to ring her, and I'd encourage you to ring, I can never remember his name, the state, Paul McLean. Got to ring Paul McLean, and then Otford Protection Societies are phone and email. I mean, squeaky wheel gets the noise, it gets the oil. We need to squeak, and we need to squeak loudly, and all of us need to be making the noise. So if we need to ring the two of them, and then the Otford Protection Society is going to attempt to get a meeting with the Liberal shadow spokesperson for the environment, Suzanne Cruikshank, because we don't know who the potential candidate is for this area, so we can't speak to anyone. But we want to know what they would do if the LEP was put up to them. And Christina Keneally, as the planning minister, is someone else we can go to, but I'd be very concerned, given the government's track record on approving developments, that they would just give this a rubber stamp if council put it up to it the way it is now. So we really need to be pushing the opposition to say, what would you do if you were the government, and pushing the government to say, you've got to turn this over. We're not. If this goes through as the current LEP, you can't accept it. But anyway, first things first. First things Tuesday night, meeting there, and then the submissions on by October 9. And we can't rely on an extension. People are trying to get an extension, but don't rely on that. Submissions must be in by October 8. And we're going to come round and check them all. I'll be buggered if I'm going to lose this. This is too important. I mean, there's all of Helensburgh, but we'll worry about that another day. Today's just to talk about Otford. So thanks very much for your time. Yep.
Is there some sort of traffic management plan to go with this rezoning for Otford Road and Domville Road?
No,
That could be included in our submissions as well.
There are further studies. This review that's going on at the moment is only looking at a certain number of things. When they work with that, then they will go and talk to the Water Board, they will talk with the Department of the Environment, and they'll talk about traffic studies. Those things will be done after they make the rezoning.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, well that was changed last December.
December 2008.
It used to be
That's
the
why
case you
Helensburgh
couldn't do
is
it that
like
way, but last December they changed in State Parliament, they changed regulations, so now you can make the zoning change first, then do your flora and fauna reports and your traffic studies, and then try to tell the people, oh, those studies said we shouldn't have done it. So people who have had their hopes raised that they've got their rezoning, suddenly council's going to come and say, oh no, we can't.
And also that's something else we can say in our submissions to council. The stupidity of doing these further studies after the event. Just absolutely stupid. But you know, the bottom line is there's a group of people who made an investment, who were speculating as to land prices increasing, and they've got no more right to it changing than we have. We who paid, you know, market rates for houses that you could build on, for land that you could build on.
And full rate, council rates.
And you know, they've just, and we pay full council rates as well. And they've just been lobbying, and they've managed to generate a degree of sympathy in council with their position. We didn't build on that. Yeah, most of us, exactly. But you know, we just need to get active. So thanks for your time. If you've got any spare time, you can go home and start your submissions. I'm very happy. Well, yeah, okay, if those that want to can go back up. Oh, Pauline's got half-price coffees on this morning. I've got to go this way. Give her a ring. Yeah, so Pauline said to she's sorry she couldn't be here, but she's obviously open. She's got half-price coffee on for anyone that wants to go up. So those that want to keep walking up, feel free. For those that want to try and get down, good luck. I think up probably the best.